What's going on YouTube? It's your boy JD Trades and I'm back again with another pre-market analysis. As always guys, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that post notification to get notified when I post a new video. If you enjoy this kind of content, more content is provided inside of my free Telegram. Link to the free Telegrams in the description box down below. Let's just get straight into it. So as always, we're going to start things off with the DXY, understanding what the dollar is most likely going to do for next week. And you know, for once in a good few weeks, it is unclear. Okay, now in terms of this week, we actually just need to see the week build and progress. One thing that I will be happy to report back to you guys is that next week, pretty much for most of the week, is good to go. It's green light. So last week, Monday, Tuesday, red light, Wednesday, Thursday, green light, and Friday, red light. Okay, so you know, from my perspective, there was only 2 trading days out that whole week that really made sense. Okay, so starting things off, we do have composite manufacturing and services PMI for both the pound and the dollar on Monday next week. We have the RBA interest rate decision for Aussie. We've also got consumer confidence for the dollar on Tuesday. We've got new home sales and crude oil inventories following on Wednesday. Now, when we look at the picture here for the dollar, right? Now, in terms of last week, what has last week done? Last week we dipped the low and then we push back up into this weekly candles weekly range. Okay, now ideally I did actually want to see this potentially extend lower, or if it is going to pull back up, you know, looking towards the 104 level, right, which is quite high up. You know, due to the fact that we have taken out such a key monthly low, I kind of expected and wanted to see if price can in fact reverse to the other direction. You know, we did have an initial push to the upside, but you can see we started to drop off again. So if we can potentially see next week, okay, potentially give us a higher week, we could see this continue to taper off to the downside. So there's potential for more weakness on the dollar. Okay, now if I turn your attention over to the 1 hour time frame, as you can see, we are stuck in the range of this low and this high. So pretty much last week's whole weekly range, right? We're stuck in this little range here. Now we need to break out of this. Now ideally, right, we'll automatically have to look at this high here. If we are going to get that weekly candle kind of taper off to the downside, as I said earlier, I want to see us actually swipe one of these highs. So maybe potentially early doors on Monday, Tuesday, we actually get a sweep of both of these highs. Okay, so this high and this high, and then we start to work ourselves lower. Okay, that would be a potential play and something to look out for. All right, next up is Euro USD. So in terms of EU, right guys, EU is very close to those weekly highs. Okay, so I'm going to expect kind of similar to the dollar in terms of actually getting a low of the week form, right, somewhere beneath here, and then for us to continue the push to the upside and give us a new weekly high. Okay, so you know, looking at things from the 4-hour perspective, from the daily perspective, I'd kind of expect us to get a little bit more of a retracement and then a push to the upside, which is the ultimate goal. Okay, so there really isn't a clear picture for us to kind of say, hey, I'm going to take a buy out of here or a sell out of here per se, but we've just got to let the picture build and form for a little bit longer. All right, turning attention over to gold. As you guys know, gold has just been absolutely pushing higher and higher and higher. You know, there was at some point I was thinking, hey, gold might hit 2600, but we've gone past 2600. We've gone to 2622. So you know, there really is no limit for gold at the moment. There's a lot of geopolitical tension that's going on at the moment. I do believe there has been some strikes happening in Israel. I did read something up about that yesterday. Okay, so you know, these Israeli sources have confirmed that Ibrahim target of an airstrike. Okay, so whenever there are these kind of geopolitical tensions, the likelihood of gold to rally is very high. Okay, so that's definitely a factor, alongside the continued weakness of the dollar will continue to push gold higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay, so for next week, we just got to let gold kind of do its thing, build a picture, but we do have this little 15-minute candle inside of here that we can potentially play for a continuation to the upside. Okay, if we get a pullback down lower and see if we can continue to go long on gold. look, gold is too damn high to actually be trading with, you know, any real sense of confidence, because we don't know how long the highs are going to last. But once gold does start coming down, we've got a lot of lows to downside, as I've said in previous weeks. All right, next up is the NAS100. I know it's a bit of a curveball from me, but we're gonna talk about the Nasdaq today and talk about exactly what it's been doing. Right, we've seen there that the Nas has recovered, just like with the US 30 and the S&P 500. Those indexes are at all-time highs, so I'm not really looking at that for the time being. But when we do look at the Nas, right, we do have this daily imbalance resting inside of here, so it's definitely going to be a pull for us to target. Now, off of the daily and off of the 4 hour, you can see that we have had a slight pull back to the downside. I do want to actually see this continue to push come next week, okay, and for us to work inside of this daily area to give us a potential pullback and a continuation. Now, ultimately, the goal for the NAS100 is just very bullish. I'm kind of looking at the 2458 level, all right, for us to get higher. So a lot of intraday moves are going to be a potential target, right, for us to catch a pullback and a continuation. Okay, so look at this picture moving forward for the week on the NAS, see if we can get a move lower and play into this hourly imbalance and see if we can get a push to the upside. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of monitoring. As I've said earlier, you know, most of the week does look, from a economic and fundamental perspective, looks like we will have a pretty decent week filled full of opportunities. All right, next up and last but not least is Bitcoin. As I said to you guys, I'm going to start looking at Bitcoin a lot more, well, the crypto space a lot more in terms of trading on a day-to-day perspective, right? We do have the setup, which I did post inside of the Telegram. Link to the Telegram's in the description box down below if you want to join and get all this content. Right, so looking inside of this 2 hour imbalance, I'm looking to see if price can actually give us a move to the downside, as suggested there by the path tool, right, to give us a push to, what have I got here, to around the 65k level, okay, which is the weekly high. Okay, because at the moment, right, the structure, the weekly structure is still intact in terms of it being bearish. It's still intact. So for us to actually shift back to being bullish, we need to absolutely destroy that high, right? So similar, if the dollar is going to be weak as well, then we are most likely going to see the cryptos continue to push to the upside, especially Bitcoin against the dollar. If the daily picture of the dollar just continues to give us bearish candles, then there's a higher likelihood of Bitcoin continuing to drop to the downside. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's this week's pre-market analysis. Don't forget to leave a like, helps the channel grow, and of course, you're the vibes. Always remember theory behind the practice, and I'll see you guys next week.